Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make an epoxy waxworm fly. This one's going to be on a jig head, and then I can show same process but just on a regular nymph hook with a bead head. Here's the components you'll need to build the fly. Two different kinds of thread, a light cream, a dark brown. The hook, I'm using a 1/124th ounce on a 10-aught hook. The Waxworm Antron yarn, Kelly's nymph skin, 2 Sharpies, I use Golf, there's a bunch of different kinds of epoxy, and some lead. Alright, first thing we need to do, put the hook in the vise, get a piece of lead. Alright, what we're going to do is wrap this lead around the shank. And we're going to try to build up the body because I want the waxworm to be a little bit bigger in the middle. So I'm going to double it back over itself for about half of the lead wrap. So it kind of looks like that, fatter in the middle here and then tapered on the bottom. Then you want to get out your cream colored thread, set this lead where you want it. I usually go like middle of the hook shank. We're going to lock down this lead so it doesn't slide on us. You'll see some other people tie this and they put a whole bunch of thread over the lead. I'm going to use the Antron yarn, which will essentially accomplish the same task. Next thing you want to get is the Kelly's nymph skin. So this is just a little piece of silicone. The key to get this thing locked in good is to cut it at a 45-degree angle. Like that, close enough. And you want to take the pointed end and tie that in right behind the lead. It doesn't need to be super neat because we're going to wrap it in Antron yarn next. So get your yarn, cut a little piece of this. And this is what I'm going to build my body up with underneath the silicone. So tie that in. And then I'm going to wrap it. You'll see the body start to take shape. I guess the underbody here. You could probably use a bunch of different material for this. I just used it because it was the right color and I had it laying around. If anyone has any suggestions on what else you could use for this, feel free. Like I said, I know a lot of people just use thread to build up their body. I figured this yarn would go a little bit further. So once you get your body taper somewhere that you like it, we're gonna tie in this yarn. Once it's tied in, I like to go back over the body, just wrapping all those fibers down nice and tight. All right, so that's going to be the under part of my body. So it's lead wrapped in that yarn. Next, we're going to wrap the silicone. So I have one of these rotary vices so that it's able to spin. I found that that's the easiest to get this silicone to lay nice and even. And the key is to pull it very taut to get this thing to look right. And you're just going to overlay the piece of silicone just slightly to get that kind of waxworm body effect. The first couple of times you do this with the silicone, it might not look the best, but it'll get better the more you do it. All right, so once we get that, you want to keep that silicone being pulled nice and tight. And just tie it in. It doesn't need to look super pretty at this point because we're going to wrap some thread around the front of this thing anyways. Okay, so pull your silicone tight, snip down there by the bottom, get a couple lock wraps. Again, this front part doesn't need to look super pretty. Take our whip finish, tie off this cream thread. And then on your bobbin, you want to put your dark brown thread. All right, so tie in this dark brown thread. It doesn't need to be super thick, just enough to get the color on the front of the head. Snip your tag, whip finish. And for all intents and purposes, you probably could fish this fly and it would be perfectly fine. Stock trout, ice fishing. I'm just going to take it one step further and epoxy it. So first thing you want to do is color this body. So you probably can't see the detail. I'm filming this on my GoPro, so I don't know how great this is going to come through. But the body has little ribs on it. So as you go over it with your marker, those ribs are going to get filled in with color. So I'm going to start with just a yellow Sharpie. And I leave the bottom white, so I don't touch the bottom. I kind of just go right down along the sides and over the top. Get that yellow, white belly, and then I'm going to come back over it with the brown. And you want to do the strokes from the back to the front because, like I said, those ridges are here, and you'll get some of that paint in the ridges, and it makes it look really buggy. It kind of brings those lines out. Once you get it somewhere you like, now it's time to epoxy. So what I use is the Gulf Flexman. I'm really liking this stuff. It kind of doesn't make it super rock hard. It has a little bit of give to it, kind of gummy like, and I like that. So you just want to put a little dab of it on here. Spread it out. Another time this rotary vise comes in handy because you can, as the drip's coming down, you can take a toothpick or whatever and move this epoxy around. If you need a little bit more here. And as you're building your body up, once you get it to a point that you like it, then we're going to hit it with a UV light. and that'll lock in the epoxy and make it tacky. I got this one off of Amazon, I think, maybe like 20 bucks. I think it came from China, so I'm sure there's much better brands. This one was just cheap, and since I just started working with epoxy, I wasn't sure how into it I'd be. I didn't buy a good one, but I'm considering buying one of the, I think they call them torches, but you want to hit this thing and spin it, lock in all that epoxy. You only need really probably 3 seconds, but I like to do maybe 5 to 10 seconds of just spinning it. Shut that off, and it's tacky to the touch. There you go. That is the Waxworm epoxy fly that I tie. I'll try to get some better pictures of this on my iPhone and add them to this video as well, but yeah, I think it's going to work really good. Another variation that you can tie that I did yesterday was basically before you put the epoxy on, I added a little dab of this hot pink, and the hot pink actually glows in the dark. So whenever you hit this thing with the UV light, the pink really stands out, and it'll continue to glow. I got my light on, so you probably can't tell, but basically it's just a waxworm fly with the hot pink area there for some nighttime crappies I'm going to try. And as that thing sits in the water like this, they'll be able to see that little pink underbelly that I think is going to work really well. So anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to do a couple more fly tying videos throughout the winter here. So good luck and tight lines out there.